The Alabama School of Fine Arts is both an academic, arts, and science specialty school. Students take all of the academic courses that they would take at any public middle and high school in Alabama in order to receive an Alabama high school diploma. What's different about ASFA is that in addition to doing the normal classes or taking the normal classes that you would take at a regular school, our students spend 3 additional hours a day studying an area that they are really passionate about. So the students are in class from 8 a.m. until close to 2 o'clock. There is a time in our schedule for lunch as well as homeroom announcements. But after the academic day ends at 1:45, students get to choose which department they will spend the rest of their day in. And so they have the option of creative writing, dance, math, science, music, theater arts, and visual arts. And so students must choose one of those areas in order to apply to audition. And we're going to go over some of the audition requirements for each of those programs. But tonight, our main focus is our math and science program. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce Mrs. Chen, who is chair of the math and science department, and she will tell you more about the math and science program, the curriculum, and how to apply. So I think what I'll do now, just because it might be a little easier for us to start with you, Ms. Chen, I'm gonna go ahead and share the host capabilities with you so I can admit more people. Well, actually I can't admit people if you have the, we'll just do the best we can.
I need to be the host, I don't think, because I can share my screen afterwards, can I?
Yes,
without being the host.
Pardon me?
Without being the host, I can still share the screen.
Okay,
right.
Go ahead and try. Let's see if you can.
Okay, I will. Let me try. Oh, you have disabled my screen sharing. That's what it says.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I think I have to make you the host.
Oh.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
Okay.
Now you can share your screen.
Okay, which is good. All right. Everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Where do I go to my next, or I can just double tap. Anyway, my name is Hansen Chen. Welcome to the information session. I have been the chair for the past, I think about 15 to 16 years, and I have been at ASFA starting my 24th year. So very, very passionate about this program. I have built it up quite a bit, and I'm really excited about all the information that we're going to be sharing today. All right, how do I go about going to the next? There we go. These are some of the pictures that we have gathered all through, so I'm just going to move right along. As you can see, we are a specialized program, specialized in the sense that students who are passionate in the math and science, they get the opportunity to spend about 3 hours per day for the whole year in math and science classes. So we really dip into the thinking, the hands-on problem solving, discussion, and our small classes are very, very small. One of the ratio is probably 1 to 10 is the largest ratio for this year. We do have a very small, individualized attention by the teacher. So that's what we love about it, so that we can give the attention and nurturing to each of our students during our time here.
And before you go any further, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Since you're the only person that can admit people, is there anyone else in the waiting room at this moment? Just look over to the side.
I don't know. I don't think so. I cannot see if there is or not. I have no idea.
It's fine.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay. All right. Anyway, this screen kind of show a few of the places that our alums work at, and they are more reputable places too. For example, the Microsoft, Google, We are really, really big in terms of training students to be, programmers. And you know how important it is right now with the cybersecurity jobs that are so many open up, right now with that. So the training is really, really good in terms of our computer science program. This is a very important screen because it tells us about the specialty curriculum that we have. As you can see, we begin 8th grade. We do not begin during 7th grade, and it's just a little bit slight difference from the fine arts program. When all of the classes are either honors level or AP, as you can see, and the computer science, has a big selection there with the introduction to computational thinking. And we believe that, to start the students very, very early in terms of the algorithm thinking, that's the whole idea of, having that foundation course that is a required graduation requirement course. And then we move on to the computer science principles, which is AP level. All 9th graders must take that. And then moving on to either the problem solving, the computer science A, which is AP level, make it with computing or the artificial intelligence. Students have a choice after taking the AP computer science principles. Most of them will move on to the computer science A because they love the computer science instruction so well. And also, it prepares the students very well in terms of their other classes. Looking at the math, which is the first column there, algebra 1 and then geometry. In 10th grade, if you notice, there are 2 math courses, and that's the reason, one of the reasons why we have to do that is because we do not offer pre-calculus, which is very normally offered in the normal high school. So our students at 10th grade level takes 2 math courses, algebra 2, semester 1, and then the trigonometry, which is semester 2. In that respect, they will qualify to take in as a junior, either the calculus AB or the BC. And I would say 95% of our students choose to do the BC, which means that AB will be the first semester, BC will be second semester. And the equivalent in terms of college level, calculus AB is actually equivalent to calculus 1 in college, and BC is calculus 2 in college level. And then of course, naturally as a senior, since they have taken all of the foundational math, now we will move on to any other college level math, depending on whether the students, the strength of the group of the senior group. So the choices can be abstract algebra, calculus 3, differential equations, and also math modeling. So we will take 1 semester each of those courses, and then the second semester will be the second choice. With the sciences, the chemistry, physics is the equivalent at the 8th grade level as the physical science. And then for the biology, it's honors biology, but we also introduce the chemistry just in case we have new students coming in as a 9th grader instead of the 8th grade level. So we want to make sure we cover all the foundation and not have any students at a disadvantage to take on our AP level courses. As 10th grade, they have a choice to do the AP biology, and then the chemistry, and 11th grade, anything range from biology, chemistry, and the physics. Let me admit this person first. I just saw that. And that's basically the curriculum. And if you do not want to take any notes, I will post my PowerPoint onto our website. It's just so that you guys will have it available whenever you need to look at it in case, any missing information. And then on the right-hand most column is the research program. We are really, really fortunate that, we do teach students how to do an actual scientific research. So the beginning will be, the foundation is research 1, which begins in 9th grade. It is a 1 semester course, naturally from teaching students how to come up with a researchable question, and then knowing how to do the literature review, and then making sure to design a experimental design, test it, run some data collection, and then knowing how to present it. So all of those are all comprising of the later on senior research component, which is also a graduation requirement. Research 2, which is taken at the 11th grade level, will help students choose their mentors, whatever interest their research is. we will guide them how to look up some of the mentors, usually at UAB. It can be at national level, Birmingham Southern, or even industries in the community. So we have a wide variety of the choices that to be paired up with a mentor. And once all of those are secure, our students will begin their actual practicum, which is, doing the real experiments and collecting data during the summer year before they begin their senior year. And then coming back to school as a senior, they will have time to analyze the data, catch up with anything that they couldn't do over the summer, preparing for the ASFA, which is our science fair project, and of course our symposium, which I will actually talk about a little bit more when I proceed with the slide. Computer science, as you can see, I've mentioned a lot of these already. Artificial intelligence is actually an elective course, one semester. Make it with computing, actually have a lot of arts background. If you're a very creative person and know how to code well, make it with computing will be an ideal course for you guys. Advanced topic in computer science usually will be the senior research if you want our computer science instructor to be the main mentor. The math science electives, as you can see, quite a few. Science has tons of electives. With the math, each grade level will have a math team. For 8th grade, it's called the Euclid team. For 9th grade, it's the Fight team. And 10th and 11th grade will be called the Art of Problem Solving. And of course, at a senior level, it will be applied math. And then math modeling will be also integrated into our elective course, whether it be junior or senior year level. With the science team, our kids, which is 8th graders, they are very, very energetic to compete in the science team, and we have great successes. Even during COVID, our middle school team was placed nationally, and they got a chance to compete at the in Washington, D.C., even though it's virtual, and we win some pretty good prizes, cash value. So we are very, very competitive, as you can see. All of these will lead on to training them to know how to compete in those respective competitions. We also have other AP courses other than our structured foundation math and science. As you can see at the bottom, we have some foreign languages, also Spanish, French, and also Latin, the art history, psychology, so on and so forth. As you can see, we have a lot of those AP offerings. Extracurricular, this is where I was talking about with the competitions. Definitely math tournament, like we participate in Vestavia School, Hoover High School. We also do out of town, which some of those are the consortium specialized STEM schools competition. And then of course the American Mathematics Competition, which is quite reputable because even MIT recognized the AMC levels of competition. I am going to admit one person first, excuse me. Okay, and then of course we do participate in the Mu Alpha Theta National Convention, which usually meets at a certain, out of state location, and that is during July of the year. Approve, I guess. All right, and then the science is Science Olympiad, Science Bowl, Physics Bowl, and the Junior Academy of Science, which is the Gorgas Scholarship. Those will be for our juniors and seniors. And it's basically research-based. And most of our seniors are quite successful in that, in earning some scholarship, particularly if they do choose to go local, which is in-state. And most of their college scholarship will be paid for by some of these scholarships. The Central Alabama Science and Engineering Fair is the one that I was talking about when the seniors, compete in that. It's a requirement for them. We also have some 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade competitors also. And of course, they move on to the Alabama Science and Engineering Fair, and computer science are all the lists over there. And we are particularly very, very proud to have the first robotics competition this year with our engineering program. So we actually were very, very fortunate to have some money to build out our engineering room and the program. And our first dip will be the first robotics. I'm sure most of you or some of you may be familiar with the first robotics. some of the pictures with all these happy faces, with trophies and things that they have won. The math tournament usually is an annual event. We have decided not to have a math tournament this year, even though we are, watching all the safety protocol. The reason is because we usually attract so many competitors that it may be impossible to actually maintain the safety protocol that we already have at the school. So hopefully we will host another one in the following academic year. So be on the lookout for that for middle school competitors. The scientists developing on that, we are really, stress a lot on the research. We are quite unique. I think if you look at other high school in Alabama, we are one of very selected few to have a research program, a research component, and also a research component, which is also a graduation requirement. So those are all the participation of all the science and engineering fair. And what I'm particularly proud about is the Regeneron ASFA. Out of the 18 competitors for the state, we usually have at least 1 or 2 students who will be representing Alabama to compete in this international science and engineering fair. So we're very proud about that. Our successes, as you can see, I can go way back, but the screen allowed me to only do 2016, and I do have some of those numbers here. And of course, 2020 for the Alabama State and Science and Engineering Fair was canceled because of COVID. So we will be back in force this time with CAR7 and ASFA in person. And that's our Regeneron ASFA numbers. Pretty proud of that. Some of the good pictures about it. Our senior symposium is also a graduation requirement. After competing with the CARSEF and the Alabama Science and Engineering Fair, we host our own senior research symposium. And that will be this year, will be April 14th in 2022. And as a part of the graduation, we also have them as to submit not just a poster session, they also need to do a PowerPoint presentation. Including that will be also another requirement will be to submit the 5-chapter mini thesis. I have actually listed out all the graduate requirements here and there. I will summarize it afterwards if anybody is confused about that. The computer science principles records, as you can see, I have put numbers on Alabama, the ASFA, and also US. We come up really high and strong in terms of the percent earning a 3 or higher, and also a 5 at the high school, what we call AP level. The computer science A record is also the same thing, pretty great. We definitely have a strong research component. We have extensive training in computer science, a lot of rigor for the research, and of course, definitely, well prepared for higher ed and beyond. The application process, I would like to talk about it. This year, we have actually tweaked a little bit of our application essay. Before I go further, definitely, the application will be available, I think sometime in November. I just put a November 8 just because I think I heard from our registrar that that should be the date that it is going live online. And then fill out the application. Inside the application, you have 2 essays as students to write, very short essay, and parents will need to complete the demographics information together with your students. Make sure you put in all your extracurricular, follow all the directions. If you're unsure what information to include, please make sure you can email me. You're always welcome with any kind of information. Any questions that you may have. Once the application is submitted, you will need to get 3 teacher recommendations. The 3 most preferred, and in fact, I would rather have those other than, this teacher of choice, definitely your current teacher, which is this year's teacher, your math teacher, science, and also your English teacher. And if you cannot find anybody, for example, let's say a homeschool situation, then do the best you can. even though a teacher may teach you multiple subjects. Just try to, have the most current teacher who knows you best this year, because we want to make sure that we know you as a student right now, how you have progressed and how mature you are, how prepared you will be to apply to our program. After that, each application is read by 3 people. I read all the application. The second read will be a math teacher, and the third read will be a science teacher. We compile all the scores from the readers into a spreadsheet. We meet as a department to decide who do we want to offer audition to our students that we want to audition. And then once we do that, during the audition process, each person will have to have the ACT test. The 3 subjects will be the reading, math, and the science. And then parents will get an hour to talk to our panel, consists of current students, parents, and also teachers. And then also in between after lunch, you will get an interview, and you guys will be grouped into multiple age groups, probably a group of 4 or 5, so that we can talk about, how discussion, open conversation. We want to see how, students work as a group, and we have questions that we want students to work together to accomplish solving that question, come up with the answers for that question. And then, of course, you will have a math placement test just to make sure we know where you guys are at, so that we know where to place you guys in August when you come to us as an ASFA math science student. And I think that's about it for the application. I know I'm running through it real quick. My contact information is there. And Ms. Little, if you want to take over in case you have any additional information to offer.
Okay. Ms. Chen, would you mind explaining what the math science, well, you did refer to the audition by talking about the group interview, but will you also talk about the other portion of the math science audition, please?
Oh, re-explain the math science audition process?
Yes.
Okay. We start in the morning. We have the ACT testing, and the ACT content that we will be testing will be 3 parts. First one will be the reading, then the math, and the science. And then after that, we will have a math placement test at the end. In between, we will have a group interview. Since all of the applicants have not met each other and also at different grade level, we group each interview group between 4 to 5 people, where we want to observe students, how they work together. I know, we are strangers and all that, but how do the group, mingle and solve a problem at hand, problem solving. As you know, in any kind of an engineering situation or any STEM related situation, we are actually problem solvers. That's what an engineer does. That's what a doctor does, and on and so forth. So we want to mimic that kind of situation where all, students who have not met each other, how do you get together and solve that problem? And then of course, in between, when students are taking the ACT test, then the parents will have a chance to ask the questions, chit chat with our group of math science people, which can comprise of faculty, current students, and also parents. So it's kind of like a parent information panel.
Great. Thank you so much for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Okay. If you would no longer share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
I can actually start sharing mine.
There we go.
Great. What I'm going to do now is I have a PowerPoint that I'd like to share with you as well. Just hold on one second. Am I sharing my screen?
May I ask the deadline for the submission?
Yes, go right ahead and ask a question while we're in the process of switching over. Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
Yes. May I ask the deadline for the submission?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. The deadline to apply to enter the school is January 28th. That's Friday, January 28th. Ms. Chen has already explained, and I'll go over this a little bit more as well in my presentation in just a moment. But what I wanted to do is give everyone an overview of the school so that you would understand that math and science is just one of 6 departments that we have here on campus. Some of you may not know, but we are a partially residential school that is tuition-free, serving students in grades 7 through 12. So what that means is we have a dormitory on our campus that affords students from outside of the commuting distance to live on campus. While we are tuition-free, there is a fee for our dormitory, which averages about $300 a month over the course of 10 months. And we allow families to pay that in increments necessary. On the screen, you will see all 6 departments that we offer. The students can, math science is the only department where students have to wait till they're in 7th grade to apply to enter. And the other departments, students can audition during their 6th grade year in order to enroll for 7th grade. But because math science begins in the 8th grade, students can apply as early as 7th grade, or they can wait until they're in 8th grade, 9th grade, or 10th grade. But 10th grade is the last year that we allow students to apply to enter the school, because they must be enrolled in our school for their 11th and 12th grade year in order to complete the graduation requirements. This is just some of the other facts about our school and some of the honors that we've received, or our students have received. What I want to do is, just for the sake of making sure that everyone clearly understands the process, the application should be available on our website beginning next Monday, November 8th. You will go to the website and click on apply, and then you can begin your application. The application requires that you enter a username and password. So we encourage you to use the parent's username and password, because that is the person that our registrar, Melanie Lee, will be in communication with about your child's application. You can start the application and save whatever portion you have completed and come back to it later. As Mrs. Chen has already said, there are 2 essay questions within the application. But in addition to that, we want to know basic biographical information. You'll fill that out on the very first page. Ms. Chen has also mentioned that we will need a recommendation from your child's current math teacher, current science teacher, and current English teacher. For those students that are entering 8th grade for math science, we want to see a copy of your child's current grade and their most recent standardized test scores. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if schools provided standardized tests in 2020. So if you have records from 2019, you may submit those as well. And then finally, there's a parent questionnaire. We just want to see how well your child, we want to hear what your expectations are for your child enrolling in ASFA. I think one of us may have mentioned that part of the audition also requires that your child will take the math and reading portion of the college ACT. We're not expecting anyone to make a perfect score. We just want to see how well your child scores at their grade level compared to their peers. So for instance, an 8th grader would not be expected to know 10th grade algebra 2 and trigonometry. What I want to do in closing is I want to jump to one particular screen that tells you about our graduates. If you notice here, we had 64 students to graduate in May, and they earned $12 million in college scholarships. The year before that, we had 60 students in May 2020 that earned $8.8 million in scholarships. And that as far back as 2019, we had 71 students that earned over $11.8 million in scholarships. 97% of those seniors won merit scholarships compared to the national average of 15. So we're very proud of our students. They go on to some very well-known universities and colleges and conservatories around the country. There's just a few listed here on the screen. And as it says here, ASFA is more than a school. It's the cultural, scientific, and creative intersection, a place where talented people of diverse backgrounds come together to create, to grow, and to achieve. So we're very proud of the students that we have currently enrolled, and we look forward and hope that you plan to allow your child to apply as well. We're gonna now take questions from anyone that might have a question. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna pull back. Hey, yes, Bo, go ahead and ask your question.
So the average ACT score of the school is about 25.8. I see that. But what is the average within the math and science department?
Oh, I think it's close to 30. It depends. Depends on every year. Depends on the senior group. Mm-hmm. I think Echo has his hand up for the longest time. Go ahead, Echo.
So I wanted to ask, I'm looking into going into the theater arts program, and I needed to know if the teacher recommendations were all of those were necessary no matter the program you're going into. For I am no longer enrolled in brick and mortar schooling, so there should be recommendations from my previous computer science teacher and my principal. However, my homeschooling program is not a teacher-to-student program. It is an online curriculum. So I'm not exactly sure how I am supposed to go about that, as well as report cards, as they don't send like actual report cards. They do a monthly average of scoring. So how am I supposed to submit those?
Okay, those are all good questions, Echo. Did I understand that you're interested in theater instead of math and science?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I attended each of these to make sure I knew as much about the school as I could understand, because I was slightly confused, although digging through your entire website.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you took the initiative to join us. We will have a theater information session coming up. Actually, the on-campus session will be next Monday night, November 8th. And then we will have a virtual information session, much like this one, for theater on Monday, November 18th, or so November 15th, I'm sorry.
An in-person one on November 8th?
Yes, like the in-person one will be on campus, yes, next Monday, November 8th, from 5 to 6 p.m. I think if you come at that time, we can answer your specific questions about the theater program, okay?
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. I noticed in the chat, it seems that someone asked a question. It says, will the math science auditions be virtual or in person this year?
I would like it to be in person, but don't hold me to that. It really depends on, our numbers and what our president will allow or not. I'm not real sure. It's too early to tell right now.
It depends on the public health mandate at that time. And so we, as Ms. Chen said, we hope that we can see your smiling faces at the audition, but we'll know more closer to that date. There's another question, Ms. Chen, that says, how many kids are admitted for the 8th grade?
We usually range from 20 to 25 students.
Yes, Echo?
Of said 20 to 25 students, how many applications do you get per grade? What is your acceptance percentage depending on the application rate?
Well, you're catching me off my guard here. I would say about 25%, 50%, up 25, 50%, depending. Yeah.
And we encourage families not to worry about the statistics, because we want you to focus on applying. And then every year, the pool of applicants varies. So some years we may have students that have a lower aptitude level than others. So again, we encourage you to focus on applying. And I want to go back to a question that was asked by a parent earlier. For the math and science students, the average ACT score is about 30, as Ms. Chin said. However, those are seniors that are taking the math and science, taking the ACT in their senior year. So we're not expecting anybody who applies to enter ASFA to score 30 on the ACT when they're applying. Please don't expect that, okay? I see a question from Robin Hood. You're welcome to go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon. So I was wondering, so my daughter has already taken the ACT for this year. Would she need to take it again, or can I just submit those scores?
Okay, you will need to submit those scores, but if your child is invited for audition, then he or she will have to take our ACT, because we want it to be a level playing field, because, you know, we don't want them to take different kind of tests that is at different year, maybe it depends. So that will even out the playing field in terms of us, you know, looking and ranking them after they have taken their tests.
Okay.
And the other great thing about that is we encourage students to take practice tests in order to prepare for the ACT. So it sounds like your daughter has already had the opportunity to become familiar with the ACT. And so we consider that one of her practice tests for the test that we'll give in the spring. Yes, Echo?
I apologize for my amount of questions. However, my school the last time I took the ACT, my school actually stopped doing the ACT. We did a different test system. I believe it was called the ACAP. And that was taken, I believe, in 6th grade at my last point, because I would be going into 8th grade at your school. So we actually didn't take it in 7th grade. I have not taken it since roughly 2019, I believe. And I'm not sure if you want my 2019 scores or how to get those, because that was the school previous to my previous school.
If you are applying to math and science, I would like to see your most recent standardized test score. Okay?
Okay. I'm not sure how to go about getting those. Do we send those to you, or am I to request the school send them to you?
And it will be, I think, requesting the school to do so, because that's how we request school records, because it has to be with parents' permission. That's a legal thing that we cannot simply ask without parents' permission. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're approaching 5:45. Are there any other questions?
Hey, just got a quick question.
Sure.
About the teacher recommendation, when we request it, do they need to send it to you straight, or they need to send it to us and we send it to you guys, or how that works? And the second part is the ACT test. Do you conduct that on campus there on that day of the audition, or do we have to plan it ahead of time so the scores can be submitted? Sorry for my ignorance on that.
No, it's okay. For your first question, I think it was about how to submit. When you go online to our application process, there are specific directions for how your teachers will be submitting their recommendation. So you have to sign off as a parent to give permission for them to write recommendation and to submit it online. And everything will go into that program. And we will get the information once your application is submitted completely. On the second question, we are not sure if we will be having an in-person audition. I would love to have that, but it really depends on the public health protocol at that time in March.
And I think part of the question was, if we do have the on-campus audition, will we provide the ACT to those students on the day that they come for the audition? Or
yes, there will be. Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what I do is those ACT are the retired ACTs that have been given, before long time ago or whatever. So they are legit ACT tests, but it has been retired. That's what it is. When we do it on campus and we give it ourselves. Oh, echo.
I wanted to echo before you go. I just wanted to build on something else Ms. Chin just said about the teacher recommendations. It's actually a recommendation form that the teacher will complete. Once you go to the website, you'll see a link for school rec, which stands for school recommendations. You will enter the teacher's email address there, asking for the teacher to provide a recommendation for your child. Once you enter the email address, the computer software automatically sends the recommendation form to that teacher, and then once the teacher submits the form, it comes back to our registrar's office. So all we need from you is to submit a teacher email address for the recommendation. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. I think you made it clear. Thank you.
Okay, Echo?
I had a question regarding your dorms. Is there like a district restriction for who and who cannot dorm? Is it if you are out of state or out of a certain area?
Yes, you must live outside of a 25-mile radius of downtown Birmingham. Okay. There's another question that says, does the acceptance rate for math and science go down for 9th grade looking into coming during their 10th grade year? Are there less 10th graders accepted since they aren't there during their 8th and 9th grade year?
I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly. In terms of acceptance, our biggest pool will be the 8th grade and 9th grade entry. If a student is older than that, and if they do apply for the 10th grade, we do have a few that apply, but we are quite strict in terms of looking at the preparedness of the student because of the fact that, we have so many graduation requirements that has been placed throughout 8th to 10th grade. Then we want to make sure that the student is going to be able to take on the rigorous curriculum that they will have to make up since they were not here during 8th and 9th grade. So it really depends. And our entry level, maybe if I have 5 who apply for 10th grade, I might admit 1 or 2, depending on the aptitude of the group.
Ms. Hood, I see your hand raised.
Yes, what is the typical course outline for the 8 to 145 day for a student? What does that look like?
Okay. We have core, let me clarify core and specialty. Specialty will be the math and science for us, and all specialty, the whole school will go into specialty class period mode during the last 2 periods of the day. So in the beginning, 8 o'clock, we have about 7 periods a day that is non-math, non-specialty. Each of those class periods is about 45 minutes long, where students will be taking their English, foreign languages, social studies, and other kind of elective and fine arts elective. Because for math science, we do have an additional graduate requirement. Each student needs to have 3 semesters worth of fine arts credit in order to graduate. So that's going to be taken during the core periods.
So is fine arts, does that include like drama, theater, those types of things?
Yeah, we have different kinds, like for example, art dimension, art fundamentals, jazz, dancing, introduction to the creative writing. So, those are some of the electives that our math science students will be able to take as the fine arts electives.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, you all have asked some very good questions. As Ms. Chin said, she has provided her email address previously. And again, it's the letter H for her first name, last name Chin, CHIN, Do you use the asfa.k12.al.us address, Ms. Chen?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So hchen at asfa.k12.al.us is Ms. Chen's email address. And then my email address is J for my first initial, last name Little, Little, at asfa.k12.al.us. Yes, Bo, I see your hand raised.
So my son John is attending Altamont School right now, and March is the time that he has to sign whether he want to continue for next year or not. At the time, we won't know whether you will admit John or not. So we may have to sign the contract, or we have to take a risk of discontinuing and not signing the contract with Altamont, right? Until we hear the admission answer from you. So I wonder if John is admitted and we already signed the contract with Altamont School, whether he can defer the admission by 1 year so that the decision is on the right sequence. Do you see the issue here?
I do see the issue, and we have a previous family in the same situation that you have mentioned. We do not defer admission. I would rather have your child reapply back for the following year. It's hard to hold a spot. We cannot hold any spots. That's the main thing. Usually, like I say, some parents will forego the commitment fee. I know it's a lot of money, but we have few families that have done it before. So I'm sorry, but the timeline may not work ideally for people who have students in private schools and they have a commitment financially to them also.
And just so you will know when to anticipate our decisions, letters for acceptance to the school generally go out the Friday before spring break. So Friday, March 25th is the projected date that we anticipate knowing which students will be invited to enroll in the school. So I hope that helps. And there was something else. Oh, Ms. Chen referred to the commitment fee. In the past, we have asked for a $100 commitment fee to show us that you are planning to enroll your child in the school. But most recently, our registrar and our school's principal explained to me that that fee has been rolled over into the entire application, or not the application, I apologize, into the entire enrollment fee, which is collected over the summer. So that fee is the $100 that we anticipated for commitment, and then $150 for enrollment. So you're looking at right at $250 to enroll your child into the school once they've been invited to attend our school. And then Math Science also has a specialty fee that takes care of textbooks and
lab equipments and lab resources.
Lab equipment, yes. Would you mind explaining that, or telling that fee, Ms. Chen?
We, as you know, when we do all these AP science classes, there's tons of resources that we need to provide, and that's what part of the, math science fee will go into. And in addition, we are also very active taking our students out of town, out of state to compete in the various competitions. So we do need to get, school buses or charter buses. Those are quite substantial in terms of expenses. Those are all part of the fee.
Thank you. And we hope that fees will not deter any family from considering applying, because our foundation does provide financial assistance based on a family's income. So again, we just encourage you to apply, find out if your child has been accepted to enroll in the school, and then we can talk about finances after that point, if there is an issue with finances. Okay, I have 5 minutes to 6 p.m. We don't want to deter anyone any longer. We're going to go ahead and end the session now. for those of you that must leave. And if anyone wants to stay on for 5 more minutes, we'll be here to answer any other specific questions you might have. But thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will have an on-campus tour of the Math and Science Department this coming Thursday, November 4th, again from 5 to 6 p.m. Ms. Chen will give a similar presentation that you've heard. The only difference is that you'll get a chance to actually see the campus. So we invite you to join us this Thursday if your schedule allows. We will also have tours of the campus on this coming Saturday, November 6th. You're welcome to join us at 9, 10, or 11 a.m. Thank you so much for your time, and you're welcome to end at this time.